Okay, in this video we're going to take a really quick look at the syllabus. A really quick look. So you should open up the document and read through it more carefully on your own. I just wanted to skim through it and highlight a couple of details. So we've got the front page with the basic course information, basic instructor information. I'm Tanya. Feel free to just call me Tanya if you email me or whatever. My email, my contact preference, I prefer to use the Pronto app that is connected to your Canvas account. I made another video about that. My office hours are on Mondays from 6 to 8 p.m. and I'll use Zoom, so you can just sort of drop in and we can have a face-to-face, but I'll also just be online during those times if you want to have a Pronto chat or send a message. Okay, basic course info, we got the description, the sort of broader level course learning outcomes, and then the course learning outcomes specific to the course. Take a moment, read through these. Next, some of the software that we'll be using. We've got a Canvas site, of course, and everything you'll need to know or do or have for this course, you'll find it in Canvas. And you don't need to buy anything, everything will be free. We'll use Zoom for office hours or one-on-one meetings if you want to make an appointment outside of my office hours. We'll use the Pronto messaging app, again, that's connected to your Canvas account, and I made a separate video for that. And we're going to be using argument mapping software. You'll be introduced to this and in, I think, lesson 6 of the argument mapping tutorials, and that will walk you through how to get set up using this software, which is also free. Okay, we've got how we'll be in touch, methods of instruction. Of course, this class will take academic integrity and student conduct. We'll take that seriously. If you have any questions at any time, I'm always happy to answer questions about academic integrity. Accommodation of disability. If you have any kind of accommodations, official or otherwise, that you would like help with, don't hesitate to reach out. The sooner the better. And finally, the page that most people want to know a lot about right up front, and that's what are you going to be evaluated on? What kinds of assignments are you going to be expected to do? So here's a graph as well as a chart that sort of breaks it down, how many are in each category, what are the point values or percent of grade for each one, etc. So look through this page carefully, but here's the quick snapshot. So you got 10% argument mapping tutorials, 15% participation, 15% weekly homework assignments. And weekly homework assignments will usually be part of the process of writing papers, but it varies. 4 papers that are worth increasingly more as you keep writing papers, and then check-ins. I'll say a bit more about each of these categories in a moment. You can just sort of see their relative weights for the class. And again, so there's 7 mapping tutorials, and this is their point value or percent of your course grade per tutorial. 15, when I say there's 15 participations, I mean there are 15 weeks, and each week's participation grade is worth 10 points. So that's where I'm getting the 10 and 15 from there. Likewise, there are 15 homework assignments, each worth 10 points, 4 papers, 5 check-ins. Here's the traditional grade breakdown for SD/CCD. And here's a page that gives you a little bit more information about the kinds of assignments you'll be doing. So check-ins, you're going to do a check-in every 3 to 4 weeks, and it's just an opportunity to reflect on your learning so far and to reflect on your goals for the course. And in general, check in. And if you have questions or suggestions or constructive criticism for the course, that's a place where you can share it too. Okay, argument mapping tutorials. There will be 7 guided tutorials, each worth 1 to 2% of your course grade. You'll be finished with those in the first 3 weeks of class. Let's see, participation. So participation, as I said, is worth 10 points per week, and your lowest 2 week scores will be dropped. And participation activities will include participating in discussion boards, participating in perusal. We are going to be using perusal to read texts It is connected to Canvas, it is free, and it's a way to collaboratively read and annotate and discuss readings. You'll also do some writing collaboration assignments, peer feedback assignments, and there will be a number of writing tutorials that will be part of your participation grade. Not all of these things every week, just these are the kinds of things that will count towards your participation grade. Weekly homework, again, weekly homework will be part of the process of writing papers for the most part. And then 4 papers, and you can kind of get a sense of how much they're worth and how long they're supposed to be. All of the papers are, depending on your definition of short, fairly short. The first 2 are in the 4-page range, and the second 2 are in the 6-ish page range, 5 to 6 pages. And we won't be strict with the length of the paper. Instead, it will be a matter of how well the paper achieves the objectives, the content. So if it's short, that probably means you didn't go into enough depth or develop your ideas in enough depth. And if it's too long, and the reason why is that you went off on an irrelevant tangent, that's the kind of thing that would affect the paper grade, not the length per se. There will be 1 extra credit opportunity, sort of, more on that in a moment. There's going to be a course eval at the end of the semester, one that I've created for this class specifically to get the kind of feedback I want to get from you. And that'll be worth 20 points or a 2% bump to your final grade. Late work policy. So all of the smaller assignments like the argument mapping tutorials, the readings, and engaging with the readings and the homework, these kinds of things will generally be accepted and not penalized for being late. At least I won't penalize their scores. If you do the homework and you do a good job on the homework, you'll get full credit for the homework. But if you submit these things late, you'll get at least a 4-point deduction on your participation grade for the week, because you need to be able to do these things in order to be a valuable contributor to participation activities. And sometimes if you don't do the homework, then you won't be able to do the participation activity, and then that would undermine the whole score for that week. So doing your work on time is definitely worthwhile. Papers submitted on time will receive a 10-point bonus, not to exceed the value of the paper. So highly, highly recommend not being a perfectionist and making sure you just get it in and get that 10-point bonus. Papers received within 1 week of the due date won't be penalized. Papers that are more than 1 week late might not be accepted. If you are falling more than a week behind, you should definitely reach out for help. Check-ins. Check-ins aren't as important that they're on time because other assignments don't depend on them, but just for facilitating the course, just try to get everything in on time, and I'm happy to have a grace period on that if it's just a little overlap. But okay, that's the late work policy. Attendance requirements and important dates, so be sure to read this section carefully, put these dates on your calendar. What this longer paragraph says essentially is that this course requires regular work and participation, and if you drop off the map for a couple weeks and aren't submitting anything, you may be dropped from the course. And if you have not withdrawn from the course by April 16th, a grade has to be assigned to you. So know these important dates, especially if you really fall behind. And then finally, we've got the course schedule. So the course title is Critical Thinking and Writing, and we're going to practice our critical thinking and writing skills generally on the topic of food. So all of our topics have some connection to reasoning about food in some way. So our first topic is cereal soup? And our real goal for this first section of the course is to introduce argument mapping, some of the foundational skills for the course, as well as just general objectives for writing philosophy papers. So you'll write your first paper on the topic of the cereal soup. Our next topic will be what are the obligations of affluent countries or people to those facing extreme poverty, and thus starvation. We'll spend a good deal of time on that. And then our last topic, I'm going to have the class vote on. And so examples of topics might be eating animals, or virtue ethics and the virtues associated with food, so temperance or hospitality or something like that. I'll say a bit more about what virtue ethics is at some point and list the topics you have to choose from. Okay, so that is our overview of the syllabus. Don't hesitate to follow up if you have any remaining questions.